Jungkook rises at Tokyo Dome. The legendary "Everybody Jump" moment that shook the world. Hello Army. That night, April 17, 2026, was not just another date passing quietly across the world's calendar. It felt like an invisible line, separating a past filled with waiting, from a future that had finally, truly begun. Beneath Tokyo's calm, shimmering sky stood the towering Tokyo Dome. And yet, that night, even a place that vast seemed to be holding its breath. Not because it was empty, but because it was too full of hope, longing, and emotions that had been carried for 4 long years. And when the lights slowly dimmed, when the sound of thousands faded into a near-sacred silence, everyone knew. This was not just a concert. This was a return. A journey that had finally found its way back home. And at the very center of it all, appeared a figure who had lived only in memories, on screens, and in the dreams of fans. Jeon Jungkook. His steps were steady. His gaze, deep. Yet somehow, the entire world seemed to move with him. The aura he carried that night was no longer just the charm of an idol. It was something deeper, stronger, more real. Like someone who had walked through a long storm, and now stood, unshaken. And in that moment, the cheers exploded. Not just loud, but wild. As if thousands of silent hearts had finally found their voices again. And Jungkook did not simply stand on the stage. He owned it. Every step, every subtle movement of his hand, even every breath he took, felt like part of a story that had been waiting far too long to be told. Then, it came. A moment that lasted only 7 seconds, yet would be remembered forever. Amid the pounding music and choreography that moved like waves, Jungkook paused, took a breath, and with a voice that was not just heard, but felt, "Everybody jump." That simple line became something far greater. It was no longer just a call. It was a command, a release, an explosion of everything that had been held back for years. And in a single second, the entire stadium moved as one. No longer individuals, no longer thousands of separate souls, but one energy, one frequency, one shared feeling. Tokyo Dome trembled, not because of the speakers, but because human hearts had finally come alive. Flames of pyrotechnics rose behind him, casting Jungkook in a silhouette that looked like a leader standing in the middle of an emotional battlefield. But what he was fighting wasn't an enemy. It was time, distance, and the longing that had lingered for far too long. And he won. With every note he sang, with every step he took, he proved that this stage truly belonged to him. But that night was not only about power, because in the midst of fire and energy, came a moment of stillness. The lights shifted into a deep blue calm, as if the world paused, just to feel. Under that light, Jungkook stood still. No grand movement, no shouting, just himself and his voice. And there, another side of him appeared. Not the performer who set the stage ablaze, but a human being, carrying stories, struggles, and emotions in every note. His eyes were closed, not from exhaustion, but because he was truly feeling everything. And when his voice flowed, soft yet powerful, the entire stadium fell silent. Not because they didn't want to cheer, but because they were too immersed to break the moment. No distractions, no glowing phone screens, just thousands of people, fully present. And at the end of the song, he gave something special. A vocal improvisation. A high note rising slowly, boldly, without hesitation. And when he reached it, it felt like time stopped. As if the world wanted to hold on to that moment, forever. That is Jungkook. Not just a singer. Not just an idol. But an artist, who creates experiences. That night, the title, Vocal King, was no longer just praise. It became truth. And beyond the stadium, in the ever-awake digital world, those 7 seconds spread like wildfire. Reactions, comments, tears, pride. All blending into one. But for those who were truly there, no video, no photo, could ever fully capture what they felt. Because what they experienced was not just a performance. It was a living moment. The opening of the Arirang journey was not only about the return of BTS to the global stage. It was about time, distance, and longing. Finally meeting at one point. And at the center of it all, Jungkook stood. As the core. As the light. As proof that some things are truly worth waiting for. That night will be remembered. Not just for its grandeur, but for one simple thing. A man stood on stage, and with one line, everybody jumped, made the world feel alive again. And this journey has only just begun. Welcome to K-pop BTS, where every story is not just watched, but truly felt.